All right, Dr. Brewsky, let's have at it.
Let's do it. So thank you, DJ Frog, for having us at your awesome brewery, Hoppin Frog, here in
Akron, Ohio.
It is Akron.
Happy to
off
do
of
it.
Waterloo.
That's right.
So how do you choose the different ingredients for your beer, like the different types? Because you run the gamut.
Yes.
From your darks to your gosés, the fruit ales, to the shandies, to the IPAs. Like, how do you pick the ingredients that you do?
I don't want to give away all my secrets, but I will tell you this. I do like to work with common suppliers, so I buy a lot from them so I get preferential treatment.
Nice.
That being said, there are a lot of beers that require specific malt or hops in order to create the flavors from the various lands that we're trying to create. Like when we make our Scottish beer, we're trying to use some of the items that they use from Scotland, or more importantly, when we're making like the Oktoberfest that you mentioned, we try to use German malt, German hops, stuff like that.
We love a fine German Marzen.
Thank
love
you.
that. Oh my gosh.
And our Carmenator, which is another German beer. It's a lager, and it's my namesake beer. It's our Doppelbock. I use a lot of German malt in that, and just 100% German hops. The way to go.
So how did you get started in brewing? Were you a home brewer?
I was definitely a home brewer. The way I started in brewing was I was invited to a home brew meeting with a friend of mine, and I had tasted this beer a couple times. It was pretty good. I had nothing to do on that Saturday. It was raining, and I said, sure, I'll go with you. Next thing you know, I got the bug because people were sharing a bunch of beers, and they were really cool. I won a pound of barley and an ounce of hops at that event, and that's what started me.
Oh my gosh, so free ingredients got you started to all of this.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, they didn't know what they were doing. They did not know the beast that they were unleashing.
One thing led to another, and 3 weeks later, I was buying my first set of ingredients from Grape and Granary right around here in Akron. They became best friends, and I was buying stuff from them all the time. Wow. The first year that I was brewing at home, I made 50 batches of beer.
Oh my gosh. What was your first type?
It was Irish Red the first 4 times.
Wow, first 4 times.
Yeah, because that's all I knew, and I kept buying more and more red malt and less extract. And finally, John at Grape and Granary pulled me aside and said, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, thanks for asking." I was all excited, green as could be.
Yeah.
And he started teaching me a bunch of stuff, and before you know it, I'm designing my own recipes.
Oh my gosh, that is so awesome.
Yeah.
Now, how long did it take between you home brewing and to where you're like, man, I think I want to do this as a business?
Not very long at all.
Wow.
I'd been doing electrical engineering, and it wasn't something that was very lucrative at the time. There were a ton of people doing it. So I wanted to do something different, and it just kind of made sense to me to take my home brew to the next level as soon as I started having some good beers, which was around batch number 10.
Okay.
So around, let's say, April, I started making good beers the first year I was brewing. I started in February. By April, my beers started coming out pretty good.
1 year, and he was an expert already.
Yeah.
That is so
I had buddies
crazy.
offer me money for my beer. I was contacting the State Board of Liquor Control trying to figure out how to start a brewery. This was back in '94.
Wow.
So this is a long time ago.
Yeah, and in this area, there weren't a lot of craft breweries around at all.
So I thought, I got to do this. I got people offering me $2 for each of my 12-ounce beers. And back then, that was a ton of money.
Yeah, that's right.
Back in '94,
Yeah.
So this would be a great business, and I'd like to do something different. So one thing led to another, and less than 3 years later, I was able to start working for people who felt the same way, but had a crap load of money and had restaurant experience. So I started working for the people who, about 3 months later, coined the term thirsty dog. And everyone knows a thirsty dog now.
That's right.
I was their brewer the first 8 years and won their first 18 medals or something like that.
Yeah,
that was
love
fun.
Thirsty Dog too.
Hell yeah, that's my alma mater.
Wow, okay, so you're the reason why.
Yeah, back when we had 3 restaurants, yeah.
Wow, that is crazy.
It was great back then because I had a test bed of people at the restaurant, so that's why the beers became really good.
And they gave you the freedom to kind of, hey,
develop,
let's try this.
With a bunch of feedback. And not all of it was good because I wasn't that good, and it helped me get better.
Well, sure. How did you come up with the name Hoppin Frog? Like, what is that?
I am Hoppin Frog. My name is Fred. My nickname is Frog. So it kind of made sense to go back to that because I wanted to use something involved in the brewing, whether it be, kettle or malt or hops or something in my name, grain.
Hop. I love
so it kind of made sense to go back to the frog and hops because that's what frogs do. Boom.
That is so crazy.
Yeah, thanks. Hoppin
So,
Frog, it was born.
What inspires you to create the different styles of beer? Because like I said, you try a little bit of everything. You'll take a shandy and then it's like, this year is here, or this time of year is here, and then it's like you do different types of flavors. You like blow it out.
I know. I'm just trying to think what inspires it. There's so many different ways to look at it because there's so many different beers that we make. Some have been inspired by other beers that are out there. I taste them and go, that's a great beer, or I expected that to be a great beer. And in either event, I'm thinking, we could do good or better than that. And I think I'm inspired by that beer. I want to make a beer like that but better. So that's some of them. Others of them are inspired by the line of beers that we already have. In the case of Boris, Doris, Taurus, and Chorus, those have inspired these whole families. And in fact, Boris was the inspiration for the other ones.
Yeah.
So a lot of times my beers are inspired by other beers that we make. So in either event, it's either beers that I've tried or beers that we make. That's a large amount of the
inspiration.
Absolutely,
and ideas of what to do.
Now, years ago, when I was out traveling more, back in 2016, 17, 18, I got inspiration more from a lot of the traveling that I did, and a lot of the brewers that I was hanging with.
Right.
Just haven't done that the last couple of years.
Yeah, stupid COVID.
The damn demic.
Oh, God, I'm telling you.
Yep.
So how many people work here?
Right now, 23.
23.
Total.
Wow, that's a lot.
About half in the brewery and about half in the tasting room.
Okay.
Yep.
And you obviously have, a more established distribution, restaurants and grocery stores and that in the area.
Yeah.
That's how people know you.
Absolutely. We've been around for a long time, and that helps too. What happened early on is we got recognized as making good beer by ratebeer.com, which is widely recognized as the world's largest consumer-driven beer rating website, which was huge for us. So people started recognizing our beer in more than just Ohio. I never thought I'd sell outside of Ohio, really, when I started up the brewery. But come to find out, people wanted our beer far and wide. And I found that even overseas, they wanted it. I started getting requests in 2008 because of our ratings. One thing led to another. I started selling in 2008 overseas, and that's when we hit our first gold medal with Boris at the GABF. And they just bought like a whole pallet of Boris. So like, oh my God, we got this gold medal winning beer from the America. So they were excited to sell it overseas. We're now in 38 foreign countries.
I didn't even know that.
Isn't that cool? We sell as far east as Korea, and hopefully soon to be Singapore and maybe China. Japan, they all make sense.
So if
Singapore
you
might be
guys are
first.
out of the country because of work or travel, look for Hoppin Frog.
Isn't that crazy? Because our ratings, they started requesting our beer from all over the place. So it's just been we've been very fortunate. We started early on when there weren't a lot of people making the beers that we make. So we got early recognition.
But it's not just about that. You have kept your reputation because you know how to do a variety. And you know how to brew good beer.
Thank you. We keep getting better and better at what we do, too.
That's right.
Yep.
Well, and that's good. You don't just take one thing and run with it. You take one thing and run with it, and then you say, how can I improve that? And maybe do a sister, do a brother product of it.
You want to taste the first one?
Absolutely.
The first one is a great example of this. This was developed not early on, really late on, but this is one of our latest beers. Honey Blonde.
Honey Blonde. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh yeah. For the heavy in this light of color, you get a heck of a taste.
God, it's smooth and creamy. You can taste the honey.
Smooth and creamy.
Big time. I'm a flavor hound. I like to joke that I'm trying to satisfy my last taste bud. What it boils down to is beers with more flavor. I'm trying to make sure that you can taste all the things that we say are in there. If I say you can taste honey, or if I say it's a honey beer, you're going to be able to taste the honey.
You want to make sure that that profile comes out.
Whereas the Belgians use the opposite approach. They'll say, oh, I have coriander and chamomile and this beer, and it's very delicate and awesome, and it enhances the beer, but you can't pick any of those out. It really burns me up.
Right.
So the Americans are typically louder and, well, whatever it is.
If you want to do an IPA, you're going to do a triple IPA. You want it.
I'm like an American brewer, It's I wouldn't say in your face. It's more sophisticated than that. I'd like to say.
Well, everything's balanced.
Yes.
At least of the ones that I've ever tried
That's
over the
goal.
past 5 or 6 years. But like you said, there is an intentionality to having a specific flavor.
Yeah.
And just the style, like you do a classic style that is just awesome.
We spend so much time trying to make it right, so thank you. I appreciate it.
So how did COVID affect you guys?
We decided to close down and be super careful because a lot of people we have here are older. We've been open for a long period of time. Heck, I'm mid-50s, so it made sense just to look at our finances and decide, let's just sit this out. Let's hold our breath. We ended up holding our breath for damn near 15 months.
Yeah.
And we made it.
Yeah, you made it, and I'm hoping people are coming out to...
Yeah, they are totally. The customers have been beautiful. They've been lovely.
That's good.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our local customers supporting us so much, really.
Right.
Yeah, during the shutdown, we had tons of business, drive-through, curbside service. It was enlightening.
What else are you gonna do? You might as well be at home, pick up a growler or 6-pack, 4-pack, whatever.
I realized we were gonna make it. When I finally saw that, I'm like, oh my gosh.
They still wanted to do it.
Yeah.
They just had to do it in a different way.
It was great.
So looking into the future, and not 20 years from now, but in the next year or two, what do you think is a craze maybe, or a trend that you're starting to see that is probably going to catch on? So for example, back 10 years ago, nobody ever heard of Chipotle peppers. And then all of a sudden, they were using Chipotle in everything.
Yeah.
Do you see any kind of trend in the brewing process in beer that, we used to be IPAs and now we're starting to see, okay, maybe the Gosés are starting to catch on, or I'm mixing two traditional beers together to come up with a hybrid?
Gosh, I wish I had the insight like I used to. We do a tasting once a week with all guest beers. I've been missing that, and only in the last 4 weeks have we started that back up. So I'm just thinking to myself.
Any predictions? It could be that
I've been
anything
isolated.
goes. Yeah.
I've been isolated, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think to myself: is there anything I could peg? I mean, other than the ones we know about, no.
Okay.
Yeah. I wish. I'll be honest.
Okay.